Hey, everybody. This is the first ever Sunset Beach podcast. My name is Logan.
I'm Brandon.
My name is Ryan.
Hey, yo, I'm Jalil.
I'm Mike.
And we're just a bunch of friends who we've known each other for a while. And we're just here to talk about sports and have some fun along the way. So today we're going to break it down starting with how the media controls the award races in the NBA. Y'all got any first thoughts about that?
Well, first thought is that, LeBron James got snubbed. That's my first thought. And I'm going to tell you why. So, obviously, Giannis had a very, very dominant season. No doubt about it. You got to give it to the guy. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve back-to-back MVPs. He led his team to the greatest record in the league. But it's LeBron James. LeBron James led his team. What is Ryan doing? Oh my God,
Man,
we got a cap already. All right, LeBron James led his team to number one in the Western Conference, and the Western Conference is obviously a lot more harder to just win. That made no sense. That needs to get cut later.
we got it. Yeah, harder conference.
Nah, man, like LeBron, just like whether it's like scoring, he's always been the best. Well, not always, Kevin Durant, but always been the second best, and he's always been the greatest passer in the league. And he just proved it this year. He had an off year last year. You know, the critics were saying washed king, and he bounced back perfectly, man. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't understand why LeBron only got 16 votes?
Yeah.
It's absurd. That's absurd to me. It makes no sense. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, calling that cap. Let's hear what you got to say, buddy.
Yeah, what do you gotta say?
It wasn't – the cap was just more of a joke. I can definitely see where you're coming from here. The 16 votes was definitely I think it should have been more. It should have been a tighter race because those two definitely had very similar seasons and they made very similar impacts on their teams. I just really think that just because the regular season MVP is regular season, it's very difficult to judge who should really win that award when it comes down to playoff time because some people really perform in the playoffs. And as you've seen, LeBron really has and Giannis hasn't. But for the sake of the MVP award in the regular season, I believe Giannis won it because of the reasons that you discussed with the leading the best team in the league, of course, quotations, because they're not even in the playoffs anymore. They had the best record. And he had one of the most statistically dominant seasons of all time, paralleling Shaquille O'Neal if you look at even his best seasons, which is something crazy. But I saw something that was very was big for LeBron's case, and it was, that these media people gave Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal one MVP each. And that obviously there's a lot that people think that Shaq got snubbed in a bunch of his earlier years. Kobe obviously got snubbed in 2006. When Steve Nash won the MVP for his second time. That's arguable, obviously, because Steve Nash had a better team, but I digress. I just believe that Giannis won this award because of the regular season and his performance in the regular season and his impact on his team. But if we're talking about the whole season, undoubtedly it's LeBron.
I would agree with you in saying that that Giannis had a better season. I do agree with that, but I still agree with the fact that the media controls the award races because of the fact that they create that narrative from the end of the year, like the James Harden Giannis race. From the beginning, it was Giannis's award to win. From the third week in the league, it was his to win. They continuously make these stories about these rising stars because it's almost like you can't continue to make a story about someone who's an established good player and blow up. So these media people are making these stories about these lesser stars or these rising stars blowing up. And once they reach MVP, like, dang, you were the first person on that case. Like, so therefore you get more clout as a reporter. And I think at this point, they're looking more for clout than they are for genuine who's doing better.
LeBron James has been the best player in the league for the past 10 years. And what does he only have, 4 MVPs? Something like that? It's just unfair. It doesn't make any sense. You can't dispute it. You can't argue that LeBron James hasn't been the best. It's so clear that he has been the best. So I can't remember. I watched some interview, it might have been First Take, it might have been ESPN, but No. It was Shaquille O'Neal said something last night on Inside the NBA. He said that, the best player in the league should always get the MVP. And that, I mean, honestly, that's debatable because I do feel like, stats wise, Giannis definitely had the better season. But if you watch how the Lakers play and you watch how the Bucks play, you can tell that LeBron has more of an impact on his team than Giannis, in my opinion, because he's there defensively. The stats may not show it, but he's there. He's fighting. He's the greatest passer in the league. He led the league in assists for the first time in his career as a small forward.
At year 17.
In year 17, 35
age
years
35.
old. But people just expect him to do this, and he's never going to get rewarded with an MVP for the rest of his career because people just, they're going to look directly at the stats and what Logan said. They're just going to focus on these up-and-coming stars and try to root for the underdog, and it's bullshit, frankly. Like, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. Michael, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, little Mike.
I
Let's
was
hear
going to
from you.
ask the same thing.
I mean, they do use the media
Listen,
to
all right. No.
get the younger players to. Was still supposed to go first.
Nah, you good. Go ahead.
Okay. To get them up and coming and shit, but they also used it for LeBron's case because everyone was like, he's washed, he's not the same, he needs AD to win and all this shit, which isn't true because it's fucking LeBron James. He doesn't need anyone to fucking win. He needs to not have a groin injury in the middle of trying to be the third seed in the fucking West. But, all this washed king shit is definitely he's old, he can't do shit anymore. And then they're like, oh, he proved them wrong, even though half the people knew it's fucking LeBron. He's going to do what he does.
So you're saying they were working like a reverse narrative, saying he's proving the people wrong and he deserves MVP.
Yeah,
he votes.
He might have been proving some people wrong, but they're literally they don't know basketball if they think LeBron's not going to be good. It's LeBron. He's always going to be good.
So you're saying it's less of a narrative thing that LeBron didn't win?
I think they reversed it, that he was proving all these people wrong when there wasn't that many people to prove wrong.
Okay, so he shouldn't have even been, you're saying, as conversated as he was.
No, he definitely should be in the conversation, but I'm saying, they boosted Giannis so they could get, all these stars that are young to come out, like you said, but at the same time, they boosted what LeBron was doing just because of his age.
You're right. Okay, so you're saying they both got, not unnecessary recognition, but recognition nonetheless.
I guess.
Okay. Jalil, what about you, man? What's your fucking background? Good God.
What up? Listen, man.
It's the goose.
I definitely think Giannis deserved it.
Show your face,
this
bro.
year.
Show your face.
Listen. No. All right. Listen, I think Giannis did deserve it, especially considering he kind of had to carry that bum Bucks team this year. They were hockey. Obviously. Can you shut up?
Nah, bro. What?
I don't know what you're talking about. I think that Giannis definitely deserved it. LeBron would definitely deserve to be in the conversation. He had a good year just as much as Giannis did, but in my opinion, Giannis definitely did carry the Bucks all the way through their season, and even in the playoffs he did. But except when he got injured playing against the Heat, then they kind of just fell apart. And kind of just going back to the media kind of boosting or kind of just exposing these young stars for clout. I remember when Zion was getting ready to play his first game against the Lakers, I think it was, in his first game. And I was looking on social media, and I already saw people talking about him being the rookie of the year when he literally only played his first game. And yet Ja Morant had a spectacular season throughout the whole time, and they were already saying that Zion's going to win rookie of the year. So I definitely think the media does to boost a lot of these players, especially the young ones. I mean, I know Zion was already kind of blown up before then from high school and stuff in college, but just considering the fact that they already brought him into the rookie of the year conversation after his first game of all games was definitely showing that they just want to just make a quick paycheck and just boost all these young stars and stuff, considering that Ja Morant had a better season. He played more than Zion, and yet Zion was still brought into the conversation. So I think the media is just definitely trying to just boost a lot of young stars for like no reason, just because it makes them look better.
I mean, that being said, you're saying it. I'm agreeing with you here, but you're saying it's going past the MVP race and it's for every award that the media has a part in.
Yeah, I mean, for some of them, like, like I said, like I would think like the Rookie of the Year, because that's the one that kind of stood out to me the most, just because, like I said, Zion played his first game, and then like hours after that, they were already bringing him into the conversation. But
For sure.
as for like MVP, though, I think Giannis definitely did deserve it, 100%.
Okay. So you're saying the MVP race is more true to self than the other awards. So, like Rookie of the Year was more media based this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I mean, that being said, then do you guys want to talk about, let's say, like the defensive teams and say how the media had a part in that as well?
Mind if I chime in about the most improved player race real quick?
For sure.
The media, that's when you think about exactly what you were saying, Jalil. You're absolutely right about Zion Williamson versus Zion versus John Morant in the Rookie of the Year race. There, you're absolutely right. The media hyped up Zion so much and wanted him to be so good that when he did come out and play one game well, they already started bringing those stories in. What's he gonna do? Ja deserved it from day one. Same thing. Brandon Ingram had a great season, but what did he do for his team? He did not have the same impact that Bam Adebayo had for his team. Bam Adebayo deserved the Most Improved Player award because he was the second option on one of the best teams in the East. And not to mention, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals right now. Brandon Ingram didn't even get him out of the bubble.
See, we are going to talk about the Heat soon, so we will come back to that conversation. But I would like to point out the fact that I believe that Most Improved, that was more of a statistic than a how did you affect your team like type of award. It's rather than being a how much did you help your team grow, it's more how much did you grow individually. Therefore, it's a purely stat category.
No, I can definitely understand that.
Just to talk about media influence, especially with that, the fact that Devonte Graham did not receive any votes at all, that's bullshit. That is complete bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That is a perfect example of how the media influences it. And I'm not a huge Charlotte fan. Nobody's a real huge Charlotte fan. Yeah, because he's on the Hornets, he doesn't get any attention. But that's wrong because he averaged 4 points last year, and now he averaged 17. I mean, granted, it was 4
or something. It was a jump.
It was a very big jump, and obviously
like 4 rebounds and 6 assists too.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he had a really.
That's with no one else on his team too, that he improved that much. Like, who did he have to pass to?
Exactly.
Terry Rozier.
I'm here for you guys on that one. 18 points. He averaged this season. He jumped from 5 points and 3 assists a game to 18 and 8, also with 3 rebounds and a steal a game.
I mean, how do you not put that in the conversation?
I mean, that's rising star numbers, let alone obviously Most Improved numbers, judging by the jump as well.
Didn't he shoot like 40% from 3 too? Like, he shot better from 3 than his actual field goal percentage.
His percentages went from 3 went from 28 to 37.3.
Jesus.
That's high.
That's a huge.
That's high.
Like, normally there's
Not to mention he was shooting the previous season. He was shooting 2 attempts a game, and this season he shot 9 attempts per game.
So he's making 40% of 9 threes a game. I mean, that's impressive.
And look, it was for a losing team, but the fact that he wasn't even mentioned is just crazy. Because obviously, in my eyes, it should have been Bam. But I'm a very biased Heat fan.
No, you're right.
Love that. But I really, really feel like he sprouted into one of the best centers in the league, at least top 3. And I mean, it hurts, honestly. Like, because Devonte, you can tell that he put in a lot of hard work, and that brother is cold, man. Like, he is fucking cold. He will cross you up. He will shoot in your face. He will pass out and going up against 3 defenders. I mean, he's crazy athletic, and like he's gonna be good. He's gonna be good for sure. And he definitely
that game-winning shot against the Knicks, man. Like, that was he hit that thing. Oh my God, that was so tough.
It's more than stat growth for him. He changed mentality-wise as well, and that showed.
He definitely deserved a lot more.
I don't think Brandon Ingram changed that much mentality. He brought the same mentality into the game. Bam changed a ton mentality-wise. I mean, he is one of the heart and soul, like, of the Heat now.
he is the heart and soul of the team. No doubt about it.
It's a fact now that he is genuinely like the catalyst for that team.
His culture that he brings to the team is just ridiculous. With their gritty defense and their pace is amazing. I mean, what they do, they can slow a team down or they can speed it up. It doesn't even matter. They can play in transition and they can get it done. You know what I'm saying? And they can also, play a half-court offense and really win. I like the Miami Heat. We're going to talk about that more later. But Bam Adebayo specifically, his game is very dynamic. And I think that with the statistics that he put up last year, actually, let me pull those up real quick because I'm a stats guy. He was an all-star this season, obviously, and he went from averaging 9 points and 5 rebounds to 16 points and 8 rebounds, also with 5 assists a game, a block, and a steal. His impact is everywhere. He's always on offense, playing fantastically. On defense, he's playing amazing. I mean, he's just – Bam Adebayo is something else, man. Brandon Ingram, in my opinion, is
Just
a
a
defensive
different
ghost.
breed.
The stats don't do him justice at all. If you look at all of the Miami Heat players, the way they play a team game. Obviously, you've been able to see that during the playoffs. But there's not a guy consistently scoring, 20, 25, 30. I mean, Jimmy he barely even scored over 30 or 40 over the season.
No, yeah,
And that's unlike him because he's definitely
And he
capable.
dropped 40 in the playoffs.
And then he dropped 40 in the playoffs just out of nowhere. That's just
He just gets it done when they have to, though.
it's a next man up. It's a next man up thing for the Miami Heat, and I mean, I think Bam is just going to be underrated because of his stats. He's never going to put up great stats, I don't think, just because of the system that he's in. But he's definitely our most valuable player. He is our best player by far. And I mean, without Bam, we would never be able to get this far. So, I don't
Will,
know.
do you want to say something?
No, I mean, I agree with everything. I definitely think that most people player, Bam definitely should at least be in the conversation, definitely deserved, especially with he said he averaged that one block. That one block was on Jason Tatum to get that game winner. So, I definitely think that, the Heat have been playing extremely well considering that they were only the 5th seed at the end of the season. They've been running the Eastern Conference throughout this entire thing. And, I think that they're probably gonna fucking beat the Celtics ass, in my opinion. I can't even front.
A lot of it's a credit to Bam, too.
They're gonna whoop their ass, man.
He is just abusing every center they throw at him. Like, he literally scored 15 off, only dunks on Cantor. Like, why would you even put Cantor on him?
Yeah, Cantor's
just
not
barbecue
a
chicken.
defensive player.
We are
It just-
going to go into the Heat in just a second. We're going to go into their chances in the playoffs and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
let's swing back towards that award conversation, and let's talk about how the media hypes people up or tears people down, because this guy is my favorite player. I got his jersey right here. But even I would agree that he probably didn't deserve his spot on the second team this year. I don't know that Pat Bev did enough to earn that spot. It's mainly just because the media says he's such a good defender.
First of all, I agree. I agree with that 100%. And he dug his own grave in the last series against Jamal Murray. Jesus Christ, he got torched. But that's just because you can't really use Jamal Murray as an example because that's a top 10 scorer in the league, and guarding that is very, very, very difficult. And you need to have one of the highest defenders. Now, historically, is Pat Beverly a great defender? Absolutely,
Without a doubt.
But these here, we have the excuse me.
Here, I'll just say this real quick. Pat
go
Bev, these past 2 years has become more of a mouth and a nuisance on defense than he has an actual threat. Like, hey, don't dribble near that kid. Like, it used to be like nobody wanted to go near him wherever he was standing on the court. But now it's just like, I don't want to go near him because he's fucking annoying. Not because he's fucking good.
Russ said it best. It's just running around.
Honestly, and I love Pat Bev to death. I love the energy he has. But I think the media is the only reason he even made second team this year.
Oh, yeah. Because they were all on the Clippers meet the entire season. Like,
I don't fully buy into that at all.
It doesn't help that Marcus Morris and Trez talk too. So, their entire team is all over the media because they're literally yapping at everyone. Stuff about, Morris telling Millsap, get ready to go home, and then they came back 3-1. They dig their own grave with this kind of shit, but
Yeah.
Talk a lot.
it's not far off saying Pat Bev deserved it.
I
Like,
think Patrick
he-
Beverly did deserve it.
He was in
No
a
doubt about
conversation
it.
for it at least, if he didn't deserve it.
But then there's people like fuck, I just forgot his name. Jesus Christ, he was like
It's up there.
destroying people on the Pelicans with defense.
Drew?
Holiday?
Drew.
Drew Holiday.
Oh yeah,
I
he didn't
mean, Drew
That was
deserves it
wild.
over Pat Bev, I think.
for sure.
Drew Holiday. Yeah, you can definitely say Drew Holiday.
You could
I like
almost
that.
say Lou Dort deserves it over. Pat
Ooh.
Bev.
That's a hot take right there.
Don't
That's
say
in the
Lou
playoffs.
Dort.
But like,
Oh,
let me
yeah.
let me look at Pat Bev's defensive stats this year as
Lou
opposed to-
Dort during the season is not Lou Dort first round of the Western Conference playoffs. That
Well,
no
let me-
way. That
All right.
Let me check
So
that.
I wanna explain why I believe that Patrick Beverly still deserves that spot.
let's hear it.
And again, this kind of just relates back to just, if you watch the game, you can see how much of a defensive impact Patrick Beverly has. No doubt about it. He's always there. He's always hustling. Him and Marcus Smart are the two of the most underrated defenders in the league. And I mean, people,
Marcus Smart is what Patrick Beverly wants to be.
people
When
think
do you
that
That's true.
people think that Marcus Smart is overrated. I thought Marcus Smart was overrated, but he's extremely smart. And so is, I know, I'm sorry, Logan, but I just think he's just extremely smart. And Patrick Beverly is so good at getting in people's heads. And he's always looking for that edge. And I think that even though he might have had a little bit of like an off year, you can, how much can you credit that to him? Why don't you talk about Doc Rivers? Why don't you talk about how the Clippers played defense as a whole? They weren't great.
You're
They
right.
weren't
But I
bad.
don't think
Almost bad.
you as a defender can change your stats that much based on who you add to the team. Now, I think offensively, you could take a huge drop if you add a star to your team. Now, you add Kawhi Leonard to the team. It doesn't mean – because he went from 1.7 steals to, 1.1 and 0.9 respectively in these past 2 years. I mean, that's a large drop. That's damn near a full steal, and it's not because they added great players. I genuinely think it's just because he's lost that defensive edge that he had. He still gets in people's head, like you said, and he's great at it. He is fucking annoying, but he doesn't produce the same numbers that he used to. Granted, he's still putting up half a block a game as a fucking point guard, which is stupid.
Yeah.
But his fouls have taken a jump. He's up to 3.4. Like, it's just.
He is just an off year, man. Like, he's still good at taking charges and stuff. And, he's still extremely, extremely good at defending the basketball. It's just like he's just, there's times where he really wants to be tenacious about it. And then there's other times where he's a little passive. And, if your heart's not into it, that's what defense is about. It's about how much effort you want to give. And the Clippers, honestly, they didn't even play with their full team ever. So they had no chemistry, really. That was obvious in the playoffs that they had no chemistry. And, if you don't have the motivation to play defense and to play hard every night, then the stats are going to drop. And obviously, Patrick Beverly was victim to that. And I don't think, it's entirely his fault. And I think that due to the circumstances of the Los Angeles Clippers, he still deserves to be there.
Okay.
I still think he's a top, I'm not going to say top 5, but I'm going to say probably top 10 defender in the league.
I'm gonna throw some names in there. So obviously we had our 10 players that made the all defensive teams, but I'm just gonna throw a few names that got notable votes to be on the teams that did not make it. Chris Dunn got 31 votes to be on the second team. Kyle Lowry 23, Drew Holiday 18, Chris Paul 13. For forwards, PJ Tucker had 29, Jimmy Butler 28, Jason Tatum 20. And for centers, the only really other center that was discussed was Joel Embiid. He had 11 votes for the all-defensive team, but it wasn't even close because Brook Lopez and Rudy Gobert were the only two centers that were really in the conversation.
I don't think he played enough games for it either.
But real quick, I'm just going to put this out there. I genuinely believe if the Pelicans had had a better season or had gotten more media instead of it just being Zion, Drew would have taken that over Pat Bev.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
big influence
looking
on
at
that.
their stats right here, Drew had 1.6 steals per game and 0.8 blocks, along with only 2.4 fouls. Pat Bev had 1.1, 0.5, and 3.1 fouls. It's just Drew looks like a much more efficient defender on paper.
I can
And
definitely see that.
players have like said that he got snubbed. Like the second they released the teams, KD was like, Drew Holiday not being on a team is the biggest snub ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
He's one of the
it doesn't
best
show
ones.
up in the box score when someone can stop someone from scoring without getting a stat for it.
Yeah. I agree with that,
it-
absolutely.
I know that's a hard stat to take into account, but I feel like there should be more, at least there should be more showing of the like shots contested. I know you can't show that as a stat, but when you like actively force people to miss shots, that shows up as a player at least. Maybe not on paper, obviously it doesn't actually, but for your team, if you are consistently closing out and just making people nervous when they shoot, you're a good ass defender. And I think Drew makes people nervous when they shoot.
Kyle Lowry. Kyle fucking Lowry. The fact that he doesn't get enough attention as a player of the Raptors, the defending champions, the best defensive team in the league during the regular season. And Ryan, how many Raptors made the defensive teams?
I don't think any.
I don't think nobody.
None. That's absurd.
Buddy.
That's absurd. That makes no sense. Kyle Lowry deserves to be there. Serge Ibaka deserves to be a mention. Let's see who else. Who else is up there? You could argue Fred VanVleet. Honestly, Fred VanVleet is a very underrated defender.
Serge Ibaka, wasn't even in Serge Ibaka did not receive a vote. OG Anunoby received 2 votes. Siakam received 10.
Siakam's great. Yeah.
But other than that, those were the only other Raptors mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
That's
When you look at
unbelievable.
the teams, it's Bucks and Clippers dominated.
Pretty much.
And obviously, like, it should be that way because they had the best records. But at the same time, you have to understand, like, there are other players working just as hard, if not harder, to do these things for their teams, and they deserve the credit. And, just because a team has a winning season doesn't mean they have an excuse to just sweep all the awards.
Yeah.
I think that's absurd. It really pisses me off. LeBron said a lot about something like that in like a post-game interview or something or it was a pre-game interview. Michael, you know what I'm talking about? Did you see
LeBron?
that? Yeah.
Talking about what?
He was talking about how, like, he felt snubbed with the MVP and it was just
Oh, yeah, they asked for
days ago.
16 votes. It was like,
Yeah, I was wrong. I apologize. Fred VanVleet received 2 votes.
I'm telling you, dude. They got a great squad. They just did not get enough credit for whatever reason. I guess since Kawhi left, they don't have a good squad. Because they lost in the playoff to a really good Celtics team. They don't have a squad, apparently.
In Game 7.
And
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that's absurd. Absolutely absurd.
Did any of you all have problems with like the All-NBA first team though, being the people that were on there? Simmons, Smart, Antetokounmpo, Davis, and Gobert. Any problems with that?
Honestly, no. I'm very
I-
happy with the way
I
they
was
did.
cool with that.
I think the first team was perfect.
I'm glad that Brooke Lopez wasn't in the first team. I'm just gonna put that out there.
I'll agree.
Brother's a good defender, and he led the league in blocks, but he's not better than Gobert. I'm sorry, Michael, he's just not.
I don't.
Talking about
Brooke
Embiid?
Lopez.
I'm
Logan,
talking about Lopez, Brooke Lopez.
No.
Oh, no, he's not better than
Pretty
Gobert.
Gobert now. Not
He's
how-
better at his
Mike-
role, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
So
As a player
context,
defender, I
Michael
think Rudy-
Michael absolutely hates Rudy Gobert with like a burning passion. And I hate Joel Embiid with a burning passion.
We'll
We
get
can
onto that.
another time. That will be another day.
That'll be an entire episode.
That will be an entire episode.
Yeah, me, Ryan, and Jalil will just go take a nap. Like, y'all go at it. It's cool.
We'll just chill out here.
It's not
Let's
happening.
explain our reasoning for fucking hating our respective centers.
We all, I think, hate one player. I don't know if Ryan does.
Not really. I don't
No.
really have this taste for anybody. I was gonna say Logan. If we think back to when we saw the Nets play the Hornets in Charlotte, when we went out there, Brooke Lopez, nobody thought that he was a good defender. Not a soul on the earth. All he could do was rebound and score.
Yeah, he's a pick and fade player.
He was Enes Kanter version 2. He could score and he could rebound.
He was
Now-
with a little better 3.
Now, you said Enes Kanter can shoot threes better than Brooke Lopez?
No, I said he was Cantor with a better.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was about to say. I was like, oh god. Anyway, yeah, but now he's really worked on his game and he can really play defense now, and I'm proud to see it because Brooke Lopez just makes me smile, makes me happy, man.
Nice. That's inspirational, bro.
All right, moving on, shall we? Or shall
Yeah.
we-
So let's move on back to something we had a good conversation about. I didn't mean to cut it off. The Heat's chances in the playoffs. It's been
Oh, yeah.
impressive to see their run, and I want to
Talk
hear
about
where y'all
it,
think they'll end
We-
up.
Eastern Conference Finals, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what's up, man.
Their playoff record right
They're
now
10-1.
is comparable to the 96 Bulls, the 16-17 Warriors, and teams of the like. They are 10-1 in the playoffs against very good teams. Let's get this straight first.
Quite good team.
They gentlemen sweeped the Bucks. They beat a Pacers team that was, Domantas Sabonis didn't play, which was big. But regardless, they tore down the T.J. Warren, Jimmy Butler debate quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Mac.
Now they're up 2-0 on one of the best teams in this league, and they had them throwing stuff in the locker room, screaming, yelling at each other.
Yeah, I
This
saw
series is
that
over.
on
I
Insta.
got the Heat in 4. This series is over.
I'd
I
like to
saw
argue
that.
the point about you saying that they're tearing themselves apart. If you guys are okay with me going about that real quick.
Go for it.
Okay, Ryan, you saying that, it's a bad sign that they're arguing in the locker room. I honestly disagree with you. Granted, I think that's because I was raised in a way that I'm a high-intensity player. But I think the fact that they're yelling in that locker room is almost a rally. I think it's the fact that they're showing they want this. If they're not going to lay down. They're not going to think, okay, we got them next game. They are pissed off, and they're coming into this next game with literally everything they've got. There will be no easy plays, no 50-50s they give up on. They are going to be crashing with everything they've got at every rebound. They're going to be fighting on every defensive possession, and this is going to be a scary game to watch.
Logan, I completely agree with you, brother.
Excited.
I really don't understand the people that are saying, no offense to you, Ryan. I don't understand the people saying that, the series is over because, apparently Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown got in a heated altercation or something, whatever.
They're both
whatever the
competitors.
sport was. They're competitors. They're
that.
trying to win. They're trying to win. The stakes are very high. The players are stressed. They're upset. They've had 2 very, very long games, and they've given up 2 very big leads in the fourth quarter to a very talented and ambitious Miami Heat team. And that's got to be frustrating for them. I don't think that, I don't know if this will make a difference. I think that – oh, what's up, Sam? Welcome to the podcast, man. No.
Yes, sir. Everybody stands in the building.
No, I was just saying that fuck, I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about they gave up 2 big leads.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the Marcus Smart situation is kind of given more as like a motivation thing for the Celtics because Marcus Smart, if you watch the games, every person that he was guarding, they weren't scoring on him. And then he would have to switch on to Jimmy Butler or Goran Dragic, and then they'd start scoring the second that he'd leave.
Who,
And I
by
mean,
the
that's
way,
gotta be frustrating too. And
Goran Dragic.
yeah,
Dragic was
Dragic's
baller.
playing. Yeah, he's playing like.
I didn't even hear that man's name.
Playing out of his
Minute,
ass.
yo.
I mean, but like real quick though, going back to that whole argument thing we were just talking about, like the locker room. I mean, the 4 of us being, me, Brandon, Ryan, and Michael, we're all teammates. You all know me well enough to know that if I'm down at halftime, I'm very willing to scream. And it doesn't mean that we're laying down. It doesn't mean that we're giving up. It means I'm pissed off and I'm here to try harder.
Sure, absolutely.
It doesn't mean I'm giving up on you guys whatsoever. It doesn't mean that I don't trust you guys because I absolutely do, y'all my boys. And I think that's the same for Marcus Smart. He's expecting more of his teammates, and so is Jaylen Brown. So they're getting everything out so that they know they need each other to work harder.
He's telling them how it is, man. Y'all on that shit. That's what he said.
It's tough love.
Jalil, what were you going to say, bro?
I mean, honestly, with from what I heard about the Celtics being very angry and shit, I feel like, them being upset, it definitely gives them a reason to do better. But at the same time, like if they're out here yelling at each other and doing all that other shit, they're not collectively playing together as a unit. So like I know for me, like I'm not a person who tends to get angry a lot. So whenever I'm like upset, I like to calm down and like to think my way through things. So when it's like when I hear them saying like, oh yeah, they're yelling at each other in the locker room, I think that yeah, that's a good way to help them get their energy up and for them to actually, you know, play better. But at the same time, they still don't They do still need to think through like a lot of the ways that they're going to overcome this, because right now they are down 2-0. And so one thing that they're doing, you know, they have to adjust. But the only problem when you adjust is that you have to play the other team's game, which is what they're doing right now with the Heat because they're down 2-0. So, you know, and the Heat right now are playing like as one unit. They're actually playing very well. Mm-hmm. And so I just think that the Celtics need to find a way to come together and collectively think of a way to overcome all the problems that they are currently having. And while still at the same time, you know, keeping their energy up and, you know, still find a way to find that spirit in them to actually play through this entire thing. Because you're right, it has been 2 very long games. But, you know, I think that they just have to find some way to not play the Heat's game, which is what I think they're doing right now. And if they continue to play like that, then they're probably going to get fucking swept, in my opinion.
That's the thing. It's while as a person who, you know, appreciates intensity and appreciates the fact that they are yelling in that locker room because it does mean they care, that's also what the Heat wants. Because although it will help the Celtics, the Heat want you to get angry and they want you to have to play their game. The Heat play a very interesting tempo where they play very high intensity on defense, but they're very willing to play laid back on offense. And if they get the Celtics to just keep playing in that tempo, they're going to rip them apart. And I don't think the Celtics can beat them if the Heat or if the Celtics are playing to the Heat's tempo.
Exactly. They can't play underneath the Heat's fine games, and then they're just going to get loose. They're going to lose.
Mike, how you feel about this, bro?
Yeah, Michael, you go. I'm sorry.
I feel like the Celtics have a problem where they take their foot off the gas pedal, and the Heat never take their fucking foot is taped to the gas pedal 24/7 with a brick on the bottom. Like, if they're not on the gas pedal, they might as well trade their whole fucking team because it's not the same. But they had, 17 or a 19-point lead in game 2?
17, I think.
17, yeah.
And the Heat came back like it was no problem. Like, you turn away for 5 minutes, you look back, it's a 2-point game. Like, you can't let the Heat – what?
You go.
You can't let the Heat, like, get any kind of momentum swing their way. Because they're going to drag that shit for 2 quarters and then you're over with. Like, they're going to make the clutch plays down the stretch because the Celtics are young and they don't have, like, established roles yet. They have too many stars right now. So the Heat know what they're doing. The Celtics just don't.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that necessarily. I believe that, you know, obviously this is a very even matched, like, you know, matchup. But I don't think this series will come down to effort. I think the Celtics, you know,
it's going to come down to clutch.
I don't think it's been the fact that they've let off the gas pedal. I just think that, you know, the Miami Heat are just always willing. They don't care whether they're up 20 or whether they're down 20. They play the same way.
The tenacity and intensity never changes on that team.
Yeah, it's always there, which is really exciting to watch as a Heat fan. But at the same time, you got to give the Celtics some credit because the huge problem with the Bucks is that they didn't have that same intensity at all. They never changed a damn thing in their game plan, which is why they lost in 5 games. They had a great 3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter hit, and it was just the Miami Heat. Now, I think that this series is just going to come down to whether the Celtics can execute on offense and just make shots. I really don't think it's going to be a matter of effort because Jason Tatum is hungry. Jaylen Brown, he's hungry. Kemba Walker is hungry. This is the first time that he's been on a contending team. He has got to be pumped right now. There's no way he's not pumped. What'd you say?
I said, but that 9-win season, I'm sure he was loving it.
Oh, yeah.
Way more fun than being in the Eastern Conference.
The worst team ever. All right, let's go.
I'm just saying. Like,
Gerald Henderson's our leading scorer. Let's get this bread.
Gerald.
It's going to be an interesting series. It's definitely not over, though. It's definitely not over, though.
If you had to be honest with you, man, I love the Heat too much with what they're doing right now. I think that's it. The way they're playing, dude. I'm done, man.
So real quick, let's just go
I'm
through.
giving it to them.
We're gonna start with, I guess, me, and then we'll go down the line.
Sure.
Where do you guys think the Heat will end up? I personally believe they're gonna make it to the finals, but I don't think there's a way they win that at all.
No, I agree.
I don't know.
If we run into the Lakers, we're getting swept.
But
You can
personally, do you
mark
believe
my
they're gonna
words.
make it to the Lakers, or do you think this is it?
Oh, I believe that they will. I think they will prevail.
And how
over
many?
the Clippers. I think it'll either go to 5 or 6.
Okay,
Probably 6.
I can see
And
that.
then I can imagine that the Lakers will probably win in probably 5 or 6 as well. And then the Lakers will probably sweep us. We don't have there is no way that the Heat can just go par to par, man to man, and matchup to matchup with all of the players that the Lakers have. And LeBron James, he's back. He's back. You know, that first series where he wasn't playing well, where he's shooting like shit, that's not happening anymore. He cleaned up his fucking beard. He ain't got no more gray in his beard. He got a haircut.
He's not a washed
He's
king
looking good.
anymore.
He's
He's
not a
no
washed
longer
king
washed.
anymore.
The King
He's
got
not
washed, like
a
he's
washed
chilling
king.
now.
He washed himself.
Yeah, he got washed up, bro. He's chilling. Now
And
clean.
he's back, man. It's Cavaliers Braun. He's back, and Anthony Davis is back. I mean, he didn't even leave, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But he is just, oh my
I'm
God,
gonna-
he's dominant.
As
He's
I ask all of your opinions, I'm going to argue with you guys a little bit just to bring up some points. That being said, though, while you think that, granted, there is no honestly favorable matchup for the Heat versus the Lakers. That being said, the Heat almost have a deeper team in the way that you can trust every player on the Heat more than you can trust every player on the Lakers. I can't trust Danny Green to put up 17 on a random night.
Oh,
I can
that's 'cause
trust
they're
Tyler. I
nasty.
can trust Tyler Hero to just fucking go off.
That's fair.
He hasn't been shooting well though.
That's true, but I'm just saying, like,
Tyler Hero's been playing.
there's so many different like hot rods on that team that just out of nowhere are going. And I think for that reason, I could see the Heat pushing it to 6 games. I don't think they'll win, but I could see them pushing it to 6 games against the Lakers.
Like Duncan the other night, dude. Oh my God, he came out and went 4 or 5 just out of nowhere, just kept just sniping. He ended up the game with 18 points, 6 of 12. If you can get 18 points out of Duncan Robinson, I know Eric Spoelstra is absolutely orgasming on the sideline. If you can get 18 points out of Duncan Robinson, you're gonna win the game.
Yeah.
Flat out.
So where do you think they'll end up, Ryan? And how many games?
I say Heat in 5, and then they're gonna get to the finals. I do think they'll probably win 1 game, but I think the Lakers get it in 5.
Okay. Can I ask you for what reason? Is it the matchups again? Just the fact that they have too many?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's nobody. Bam's up and coming, and they'll probably put him on Anthony Davis as much as they possibly can. But that's going to be so difficult because that's one of the best players in the league. It's not like he's playing against a top tier power forward. He's playing against a top tier player in this league. Bam Adebayo is going to definitely have some trouble. But he's going to hold his own. He's been.
Oh, my
Say
bad. My
again?
bad.
Can
No,
I
go
get
ahead.
into that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
So, yes, I do agree that Bam would – I think I actually really like that matchup for Bam. Bam against Anthony Davis. But the problem is that the Miami Heat run small ball. And
Yeah,
that's
they
not
do.
going to work against the Lakers because the Lakers can run small, they can run big, and they prefer to run big. And if
They have their bigs that run like guards.
they have JaVale McGee, they have Dwight Howard, they have so many tall centers, and we have fucking Myers Leonard, Kelly Olynyk. Like we
Yeah.
can't counter that. We can't
Yeah,
counter.
you're right.
We have some
Dude,
very
Myers
good
Leonard's the GOAT
defenders,
on our
but
team.
we have very good defenders, but there's no way we could ever stop them inside, especially if LeBron facilitates like he has been,
Hmm.
and Rondo as well. There's no way.
But the
There's-
Heat
there's
defend every
absolutely
team
no way.
differently, and they adapt really well. So I think for that reason they could win 6 in the way that, or they could push it to 6 in a way that you can force the Lakers to be if you can force the Lakers to shoot mainly perimeter shots, you can keep it a close game.
That's true.
They're not
I can
super
see that.
efficient from outside the arc. So if
I mean, you can get a
if
good.
Bam does literally everything he can, he won't be able to go for rebounds. But if he just keeps AD outside, they can push it. They can push that
That's no
team.
problem
You
though.
get a
That's
good
the thing.
3-point game
That's
from
the thing.
Caruso and Danny Green and Contavious Caldwell-Pope. He's got his ankle
Come on,
monitor
Casey,
on, bro.
you
He's
can't count on
vibing.
them,
Like
bro.
he's out there hooping for his parole. But but I was also gonna say they're probably gonna put Jimmy Butler on LeBron.
Hmm.
And the big thing about that one is Jimmy's a fantastic defender, but LeBron James is the best player in the world. So what
I think
the
the
hell
only
are
way that
you
Jimmy
gonna
can-
do?
Yeah. The
What
only
the
way
hell
Jimmy
is he
can
gonna
do
do?
if he
Get
gets his
fucked.
head though.
If LeBron doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's a great off-ball player and he makes it happen. If he does have the ball in his hands, he scores or he passes a damn ball and he makes somebody else score. It's impossible.
But the thing
It's
is,
absolutely impossible.
Jimmy also does that thing where Pat Bev does, except he backs it up with stats as well, where he gets into people's heads.
Yeah.
Jimmy's also annoying, and I think honestly,
is.
if you get into LeBron's head, you make LeBron shut himself down. There's no way to one-on-one stop LeBron. The only way to do it is to make him stop himself.
I
can
think if you get
understand
him
that.
mad, he's gonna play even better. Like he needs to
He
get in his
starts
head,
throwing his
but
hands
can't
up at the
piss him
refs.
off.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a weird tightrope he's got to walk. So what do you think, Michael,
So what?
about where the Heat are gonna end up and how many games?
They're definitely gonna end up in the finals. I don't think there's any way the Celtics are gonna come back down 2-0 against a team that's not gonna let up and roll over. And I don't know.
We've seen
Meeting the
crazy things
Lakers in the
happen to
finals
people,
is
so.
no. Meeting the Lakers in the finals is tough, but they have the matchups except for, like B said, the centers that the Lakers have. They have like 3 fucking centers that run the floor like nobody's business. LeBron and Rondo are always throwing them lobs. Like the Heat can't match the height, but they can definitely match their intensity, and they can definitely
They can outrun
mess up their guards because
They do have one up.
and Danny Green's not going to stop all the Heat's guards from shooting, and they do that very well.
I think.
So
if
I
they
think
could
it ended in like,
there'd be no chance for the Heat, honestly.
oh yeah,
It'd be a
for sure.
sweep.
But the KCP isn't going to hold fucking Goran Dragic.
Real quick, do we all believe that the Nuggets have 0 chance in this series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hell no.
I think
No.
Jalil, let's hear it.
Nuggets
Jalil,
in 4.
let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let me hear it,
Tell
Jalil.
us this and then tell us where you think the Heat are gonna end up. Let's hear both of them.
Well, first of all, I think the Heat are going to whoop the Celtics' ass. They're going to win in 5. You know, I can't even sit here and say that the Celtics will probably come together and win one game, but no, with the way that they're playing, the fucking Heat are gonna beat their ass. Now, when you think about the Nuggets and the Lakers, like as we've seen throughout the whole series, they've been down 1-3 and they made complete comebacks. So I ain't gonna sit here and just completely doubt them out yet. You know, if I look and see that they're just completely like all over the place, then yeah, maybe. But right now, I'm not gonna sit here and just act like they're completely out of the fucking race. And if they
How about
do
last night's performance? Jalil, regarding last night's performance with the Nuggets, how do you think they got obliterated last night? Do you think that they can bounce back?
Yeah, I saw that. You know, I saw some highlights here and there. Yeah, they were like mixed up all over the place, and I saw like a meme about the Lakers getting like tons of fucking free throws and shit.
Oh
So,
yeah, that was horrible.
25.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, they were like 20 or 30 or some shit. So I think that was just like a bad first game for them. But from the way that I've seen them play, they're on their like straight chilling on 2K type shit right now. They're just laid back. They're just vibing right now. And then when it comes down to it, they're gonna start like doing some
Lean forward.
yeah, they're gonna lean forward. They're gonna lean forward. They're gonna start doing some crazy shit. And if like I said, the Heat are gonna fucking beat the Celtics as far as I know. And if the Lakers do beat the Nuggets and it's a Heat versus Lakers thing, I think that the Heat will just have to really focus. They're gonna have to intervene. Basically, they're really gonna have to fucking intervene. Like I said, I think it was like Ryan or Logan, like LeBron is pretty much an all-around best player. Like he can pretty much do anything and everything. So it's going to be really hard for Jimmy Butler just to kind of deal with that. And, for Bam Adebayo to guard like AD, I think that'll be very interesting to watch because it'll definitely put Bam to the test of how good of a defender and a big he is to guard one of the, if not the best big in the league right now.
The best.
Yeah,
so
you're big.
They'll definitely put that man to the test and see what he can do. And if he can stop AD, then it'll definitely be a big help for the Heat. And it'll also show that Bam is one of the top defenders, definitely, or at least making his way towards there if he can stop someone like Anthony Davis. And same thing for Jimmy Butler, honestly. If he can, somehow stop LeBron and fuck him up, then that'll show he's definitely deserving to be in the finals and definitely deserving to be where he is, especially if he can somehow, stop LeBron from, just being the way that he is. But if anything, I say that the it'll probably be Game 6. If I'm being honest, I'm pretty sure that the Lakers will win though. But I'm excited though, because I want to see a Game 7. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to fucking see.
I
Oh
predict
my
the
God.
Lakers, though.
Boy, would I be happy for that one.
So we talked about the Nuggets right there. So let's talk about the historic run that they've been on and the
Woo!
never back down attitude they are just wearing on
Start
their
us off.
right now.
Start us off.
I don't even know what to say about it. It's inhuman. It's ungodly that a team could do that twice.
Only in the bubble, man. Only in the
Only
fucking
in the
bubble.
bubble.
Only in the bubble. And it's not just that they did it twice. It's that they did it twice. But then they came back from like 20-point deficits in the fourth quarter, and they're like, nah, fuck these kids. We still win it.
Yeah, the Clippers just that's
Like,
Really
bad.
just said, hold my beer. I'm going to say.
Jokic really just said, nah, it's over. That's raps.
Yeah.
Jokic and Jamal.
They got beat
Yeah,
by a
those
fat
are-
Serbian dude.
Well, you also have to incorporate last series with the Nuggets, man. Paul Millsap in games 5 and 7 played a vital role in their success. He is the oldest player on their team. He is that team's vet, and he's really putting it together in these couple games. Now, he started off pretty great yesterday, and then, of course, they got dick fucked.
Fuck.
So, to be honest with you, like, it's just not – they need – for this series, what they need is they just need to reinvigorate themselves. They need to get into it early so they don't have to always trail it and chase the Lakers' ass
That's
like
my
they've been the last two series.
Yeah, I feel like my biggest thing is that they have a problem with they're not I mean, obviously they are because they've done this, but it's almost like they're not as motivated as other teams. Like the Heat are coming after every game angry. The Nuggets aren't angry until they're losing by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They don't hit that killer instinct until their back's against the wall. And I think if they ever found that gear where it was like, okay, off rip, we're pissed off, we're not here to lose,
Oh,
they'd be a scary team.
I disagree with that.
yeah, B's shaking
I
his head.
think the
Let's hear it.
Nuggets is probably going like that.
I disagree with that entirely. I watched some of the game last night, and it's not that the Nuggets were playing bad at all. It's not like they weren't hungry to win. They made a lot of great plays, but they just flat out got dominated in every single facet. The Lakers beat them inside. They beat them outside. They beat them on defense. They had more hustle. And it's not even that Jamal had a good game. Jokic had a good game, but they just got flat out. They got bitched.
Fouls
Oh,
and
yeah,
turnovers.
they're getting outplayed. It's the best
Right.
team in the league.
Break.
But to say that they're not, they're not as hungry in the beginning, that does not.
You
I
can
don't
see
see that.
an obvious change in hustle between, like the first game against the Clippers versus game 7, or even game 6, any of them. They literally try harder, it almost seems, through those games.
Yeah.
I believe that the Nuggets would have beaten any other team last night if it wasn't the Lakers. They would have won that game. They played a very good game.
So you're saying
But-
if it were like
If it
Houston
was the
versus
Clippers-
Houston Nuggets or something like that?
Houston Nuggets. What are you talking
I'm
about?
talking like
Houston
if
and-
Houston had
and the-
beaten the
Oh,
Lakers.
Converse
Yeah.
Nuggets? Yeah. Sorry, I'm slow.
Talking about those Cactus
Yes.
Jack McDonald's chicken nuggets.
All right, this is the end of the podcast. Thank
Sicko
you
mode
so much for
burger.
tuning in.
Travis Scott.
Yes, 100%. The Nuggets would have beaten the Heat. They would have beaten the Celtics. They would have beaten the Clippers. They would have beaten. You could fucking name it. Any team they would have beaten that night. But they ran into LeBron James,
I mean, they
Anthony
fucking
Davis,
train of a team.
Rondo, Dwight Howard had a great game. I mean, it's unbelievable. And going kind of more into the Lakers, I think the thing that really puts them apart is Rondo. Rondo is their
Rondo.
makes them different. It's just
From
the
the
fact
turtle.
that they not only have one of the best passers, if not the greatest passer of all time, but then they have Rajon Rondo. Rondo is obviously everybody knows his vision, and he's so good at scoring as well when he wants to, that if he's able to hit his outside shots, not even threes, if he's able to hit mid ranges, if he's able to score inside, if he's able to still facilitate through the zones the Nuggets didn't play a lot of zones, but I assume that they will be coming up soon because man did not work last night.
Zones aren't gonna work though either. Like you said, LeBron's the zone breaker.
He is the zone breaker, 100%.
Get it to the middle and you pass it out, and you have people like Danny Green and Caruso, anybody outside that can hit that three-point
gonna
I
shot.
don't
miss.
trust Danny Green no more, man.
Danny Green ain't gonna hit anything.
I trust J.R. Smith off the bench hitting that three more,
No,
man.
come on now, Danny Green. I know he's been
He's
having
ass.
a couple bad games and such, but I mean, historically,
Couple.
obviously in the
I'm not gonna
playoffs with the
intervene.
All
Spurs,
of the dog shit
Come
ability
on, bro.
that KCP showed in the beginning of the season, he just gifted to Danny Green in the playoffs. He was like, "You may have."
Pandemic D.
What'd you
I
say?
don't know.
Pandemic D.
I mean, Green Ranger, dude. Dude, I mean, with the Spurs, the years, the 2013-14, he was an integral piece of that team, hitting those threes late, man. Like
Oh yeah,
I'm just saying, he's got that. He's got it in him. He just got to find his stroke because right now he's making a homeless shelter.
So real quick, I'm gonna put this out there so we can try to move on because I've got one I want to talk about. I'm sure we all do. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you guys have left to say about the Nuggets?
I mean, not really. The only thing that, they have to really focus on is just trying to work through Jamal and Jokic as much as they can.
Mhm.
And Michael Porter Jr. as well. He had a good
Oh
game.
yeah.
He was fine.
Plumlee actually had a pretty good game considering it was a loss. He was not expected to do so well, but Mason Plumlee had a good game. I think he put up 10 or something. But they have to live above, they got to do better. They got to try harder on defense. That was the big thing. They gave up so many dunks to Dwight Howard. It literally looked like it was a contest. You can't do that. You just can't do that in the conference finals. It's
Mhm.
terrible. But even when they do tighten up their defense, it's still not going to be enough for me, at least. But they've had a great run in the playoffs. And whether they're here when we talk about this next week, I don't know. I don't think they will be. But props to them because they've had a hell of a season. And Jamal Murray is cold, man. He's just cold.
He's chilling.
What you got to say,
Michael
man?
Porter had a double-double, definitely 14 and 10, but he shot 3 for 9. For that game, he really wasn't. He wasn't doing too well last night, and that hurt them. That was part of the reason that they were hurting because he's an X factor on their team, man. They need him to play well. And Jeremy Grant shot 3 for 11. It's games like that you lose out when guys like that can't provide points. You just lose out, and that's probably part of the big reason they lost, along with their turnovers and fouls. The fouls we can talk about probably as a conspiracy in the next 5 years, but yeah.
I think that the Nuggets need to, and this is just my opinion, I think the Nuggets should try a high, low, high kind of thing where, like Logan said, they need to come out the gate just straight attacking and start just, trying to get as many points as they can. So for the first quarter, and then, towards the middle of the game, they play a lot more defensive. They slow down. They try to tire out the Lakers, have them force a lot of shots, have them make mistakes. And then during the last, maybe halfway through the third into the fourth, they just start attacking again and they start finishing it out. Because they're, like I said, they play a little bit more defensive in the middle of the game. They're going to tire out the Lakers, and then they're going to, just kind of see what they do and then, make their own game plans according to that. And then during the last part of it, they just go back at it and they start attacking, and they start scoring, and then they're going to probably catch these dubs. So I think that's what they should do. But
while that's a great point, though, that's what they should do. The Nuggets don't seem like the kind of team who are good at switching tempos mid-game. The Heat are fucking amazing at just switching tempos on people.
Yeah.
They will go on the attack, or they'll just sit back and be rude on defense out of nowhere. But the Nuggets aren't made for that, which is probably why they won't be able to do anything in this series. They're just gonna get beat the fuck down.
Yeah, like I said with the Heat and the Celtics, Nuggets are gonna have to start adjusting, especially after that first game. But the only problem is that you're playing the other team's game, so we're just gonna have to see what they do and see if they can make the power moves coming out the gate. And if they don't do the high low high thing, just kind of start out the gate playing aggressive and then just kind of see what happens throughout the rest of the game. But
exactly, they need to adopt the new mentality.
They need to innovate, basically.
Now let's have a conversation that
All right,
we've all been waiting for. And
Let's do it!
I'm gonna have Michael start this off. Not Brandon, it's not the angry one between you and him. But because it's Michael's favorite player, Michael, I'd like you to talk to us about Paul George and the Clippers.
-20 plus minus in Game 7.
Backboard, Paul. Woo!
I mean, I'd like to blame it on the fact that Doc Rivers is fucking throwing the bag because he thinks he can give the ball to Kawhi and just get the hell out the way. And chip, because that's totally what Nick Nurse did. But I mean, PG just shit the fucking bed straight out. That's just how it is. He just shit the bed. I mean, he's my favorite player, but like, you can't come out shooting like 22% from three or whatever he shot
Oh man.
and think you're gonna beat good ass teams in
Looking
the
at
playoffs.
that's Game 7 box score right now, man. 2 for 11.
I
He
mean,
shot
they
the
did.
most threes on.
They were clowning, yo. I
was
saw
better
that
against the
backboard
Nuggets, but-
shot. I was.
It was funny.
It was funny. Though.
It's sad that you're looking at a team that was supposed to be, you know, it was the preseason favorites to win, and you're looking at their Game 7 and thinking it's funny. Like, I feel like that encapsulates just how disappointing.
That's not
been.
good.
That
Mhm.
man really
Disappointing.
pulled. He went from a 91 to a 70 overall real quick. This man,
Paul George was 90 overall in the game. What do you mean?
he got his VC back. He took away his stat, yo. That's crazy. That was,
Yeah.
that was
Got a VC.
That
lost his
man,
tattoos.
foolsman, man. Kawhi
And then-
thinking he fucking Curry. That's crazy.
Going on with Kawhi Leonard, man, same thing. 6 for 22, minus 21, plus minus. The dude was shooting like Montrezl Harrell was the leading scorer on their team, and most of his buckets were in garbage time. That's not a good look for like you said, the preseason favorite to win the title. That sucks. One of the biggest disappointments ever.
Now, do we think this lies on the shoulders of lack of chemistry, too much expectation, or
Yeah.
Doc Rivers solely? Of those three, what do you think it is?
All of the above.
Really?
Hold on.
I think it's a combination of a lot of different things. So first off, I want everybody to know that you cannot blame Kawhi Leonard for Game 7. He does not deserve the hate, and I'm gonna tell you why. Sure, he shot like shit. There's no doubt about it. But what else did the Clippers do during that Mavericks series? What did the other Clippers do? What did Paul George do? What did Trez Harrell do? They did nothing. So he had to carry them through the best offensive team of all time. And then he had to play a hungry Nuggets team that they just got him really tired. They tired him out. And you could tell that, you know, the motivation wasn't there with Kawhi. And when Kawhi's not motivated, the other players aren't going to feel motivated. It was just a huge, you know, everybody was not feeling it at all. Like, they didn't want to be there. They did not want to win by any means.
They're looking at that
And
shit.
that falls on Doc fucking Rivers. As the coach, as a person who's won a ring, for you to not bring these people together, this was the most talented team in the NBA. If you look at the stats and you look at, you know, the players and you look at what they've previously done, they lack a lot of experience. Paul George lacks experience. Kawhi doesn't really have experience as a number one scorer. That was kind of new for him. And let's see, Trez doesn't have a lot.
Did it on the Raptors.
I was about to say, last year he
Yeah,
was
he was-
the option on Toronto.
Yeah, but he wasn't carrying like he was carrying this season, because the Raptors actually had supportive players
Yeah,
that were
that's true.
scoring. You know, they had Danny Green, they had Kyle Lowry, they had Van Vliet, they had
Siakam.
Aaron
I can
Gordon.
understand that. But what are you going to say about Lou Williams? And, like, people, he won six man of the year, Lou Williams 3 times. Montrezl Harrell just won it this year 2 times or 3 times. I might have gotten that wrong. Anyway,
Lou
by the
will
way,
play
they-
like ass though.
They had the best bench in the league by far.
Exactly.
They had 2 bona fide stars.
Scrubs.
Absolutely.
They
Fumble.
played like scrubs.
They
They
did.
Landry
fumbled
Shamet can
bad.
come in and get you a bucket. I mean, I
We all just went and then stopped.
I think that the Clippers had they definitely had a hell of a lot of expectations, especially considering they were up 3-1, and then they allowed the Nuggets to come back. And then the way that they played in Game 7, like, there was so much, like, shit weighing down on them in that one game. Like, it was crazy. And then considering that Paul George and Kawhi both shot like shit, like, it was just, like, an immense amount of pressure. And, you know, for being NBA players, I'm sure, like, they're on that a lot. But considering all of that, and then what I heard, like, Stephen A. Smith talking about, like, you know, Kawhi being, like, you know, the reigning MVP and the reigning champ, and, you know, him being, like, a stone cold killer and stuff like that, like, hearing all of that, like, it puts so much pressure on them. I'm pretty sure that's what kind of got to them that game. and then them just completely fumbling the bag and then missing all their shots and shit like that. It was just, it was so hard to look at.
I'm gonna try to
Farm,
summarize
man.
this. You guys can tell me if you agree. If we agree, we'll move on and we'll do our last topic of the night or the day. Yeah.
Sure.
So we're gonna say it weighs on Doc Rivers for the fact that he didn't bring his team together to be hungry enough. We're gonna say that Kawhi and Paul George had too much pressure on them as people, and we're gonna say the team as a whole had different mindsets, and therefore they didn't have the chemistry they needed.
Absolutely, but it's not entirely their faults either.
Yeah.
Like like I mentioned earlier, they literally got their full team together in the bubble.
Mhm.
They had no experience with them in the regular season. So, I mean, like, you want to blame Doc Rivers, but it's also just the situation and injuries as well. That probably played a huge factor. And I think the number one reason why the Clippers lost, it's karma. It's completely karma. They acted like bitches to the Mavs. They what's his name, Morris, just injured Luka twice. They got KP out of there. They were talking down to a 7 seed that was giving them trouble. Where's the sense in that?
They're the
They
bad
were
guys,
going to
though.
lose. I genuinely believe they would have lost that series if Luka and KP were healthy.
Oh,
Based
they were
on how
out- they
they're
were
playing,
fine.
based on how they played last series, I can see that argument. But
Yeah,
the way Kawhi was playing in the first series against the Mavericks, I don't see it happening. I still think they win the series.
At the end of the day, though, even if they were being the bullies, they were just they are the villains. They were the villains this year. I mean, you got people like Trez who talks so much shit. You got Marcus who literally never stops talking, and you've got Pat Bev. They were the bad guys, and they just relished that role.
Yeah, they just
But
didn't.
it came back and it bit them in the ass, like you're saying.
Did 100%. I believe in karma, and I believe that they had it coming. They had it coming. They picked on the wrong people this time because the Nuggets weren't putting up with that shit. Jamal Murray didn't want to put up with that shit. Jokic, I mean, who would have thought, man? He's tough. He's tough. He doesn't back down.
dirty, man. He's
got the trip though. Man.
So we're gonna transfer into our last thing. Brandon, I'm gonna have you go last for this because I know this will transition into an argument, and I can't wait to hear it.
Sounds good.
We're gonna go you last, just go behind Jalil, but we'll go down the line otherwise, and we're gonna go most overrated and most underrated players in the NBA.
Oof.
I
I already know where this is ending.
Oh yeah, we do.
I don't even fucking know.
I'm sure.
Overrated.
Joel
Do
Embiid.
you mind if I start?
Yeah, I'll go second.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go for it, bud.
All right. Overrated. James Harden. Every year, he does not perform in the playoffs. When they get to that point, he does not perform. He's a great regular season player, and every year when they get there, he does not get it done as the number one option on his team. James Harden is the most overrated player, and he always is super inefficient. Always.
We'll keep this brief,
Always.
so we'll. I'll just ask one question per
Sure.
thing you say.
Sure.
Do you think that's he's not hungry enough, or do you think that's he's too selfish?
I don't think he's too selfish because I think he's a great passer. I think he can definitely. I'm not questioning that he's a great player. I just think that
He's a bad
definitely
playoff player.
it's definitely a bad playoff player, and that shapes how you're viewed as a player as a whole. And I
No
think
doubt, yeah.
I think James Harden is extremely overrated.
Okay.
Underrated.
There's a right answer for this, if we're being honest, and I'll explain my point to it next.
Go on with yours. I need to think about underrated because there's a lot of people.
I'm gonna start with my underrated, and I think it's Bradley Beal. And while he is still rated, but he should be way fucking higher. Thank you, Brandon. I love the dance.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Bradley Beal was
Yes.
balling.
Yes.
You got to give Bradley Beal his props.
Unbelievably
man.
underrated.
It is blasphemous that he was left off of an all-star team and an all-NBA team. Literally the first person in history to average 30 and 6,
Yeah, like,
right?
Yeah.
At least 30.
And get knocked off. He was on the shittiest fucking Wizards team of all time.
Free
And
Brad.
they gave him no love. That goes back to the media thing too. It's absurd.
No eyes on the
makes
Wizards, so
no
he doesn't
sense
get it.
to me.
Yeah, okay. But then transferring to overrated. Now, I changed my mind post-bubble, but pre-bubble, I thought it was Devin Booker. I thought Devin Booker got too much love for just scoring on a shitty team. Granted, that's what Bradley Beal doesn't get love for, is for scoring even though he's on a shitty team. So I almost feel like the two of them should be on an equal playing field.
Don't shit on Thomas Bryant. Don't you do it.
Thomas.
You're right. Rui has
Come
shooter,
on.
man.
You know, you can't forget about fucking Davis Bertans.
Yeah.
But those are my choices. If you guys have anything specific to say about them, please ask me. We'll do like one question. Unless then we'll move to Mike.
Why Devin Booker, man? What I know you kind of just said that a little bit concisely, but what really was it about Devin Booker? Because I think that personally, I think that he's a great player.
He's a great player. I do think he's a great player, but I think the fact that he's getting so much love and people are like, yo, he'd be, one of the top players in the league if he was on a better team. You could argue that about Bradley Beal. Like, shit, you really could. So the fact that you're not giving Bradley Beal love for the same reason you are giving Devin Booker love, it just feels like they should be on the same plane, and it pisses me off.
Michael.
Let's hear it.
I think the most underrated player is CJ McCollum.
Ooh,
That's a good one.
that's a good one.
Wow.
Played
Let's hear
An
that.
entire series with
Yeah.
a fractured back and before the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The entire time they're fighting to get to the 8th seed, dude was scorching teams with a fucking broken back.
Yeah.
It's just like he consistently
Really good.
shows up too. Like they have two of the most clutch players on the same exact team.
Mhm.
And then you throw in Melo, who's also clutch, but still. That's
Who's your overrated though?
oh god. I'm gonna know honestly.
I mean, if you genuinely
Yeah.
don't have one, that's fair. Ryan, we'll go back to you real quick.
I gotta think about it here.
Who's your underrated?
Who is my underrated? Every time I think of underrated, I usually think of Damian Lillard. Just not anymore because it used to be because he missed a lot of all NBA teams the past few years, and then he finally got his respect in his All-Star teams and everything. Last year they made the Western Conference Finals. But personally, I always have thought it was him because people used to glorify the Westbrooks and people used to really give it to the Hardens, and I mean when he did play point guard, I guess. And the Kyries, the people like that, they really would give it to him. But you want to talk about underrated, Kyrie with the Brooklyn Nets, man. I know that he's not the greatest leader, and I know that he sometimes can be really, his legacy is fractured by a lot of his off-court antics and things that he said. I do think that Kyrie Irving has a lot of game, and he, as a second option with the Brooklyn Nets this year, he's going to be amazing. When he was with Cleveland as that second option, he was perfect. I think that he's going to be really good this year with the Nets and Kevin Durant coming back.
Mm-hmm. All right. Mike, do you have that
Jalil?
overrated player?
No, I'm still thinking.
All right, Jalil, let's hear it. Let's hear your underrated first, overrated second.
Mine is kind of the same as Ryan's, Kyrie Irving. Considering that Kyrie Irving is my favorite player, but I do think that he is fairly underrated. Especially when he was on Cleveland with LeBron, he was basically in his fucking shadow throughout that entire time, just because it's fucking LeBron. And his time on the Celtics was a little bit iffy just because of everything that happened there. And like Ryan said, his off-court antics kind of definitely fucked up his career here and there. But I do think that he is an overall spectacular player. I am a little bit biased, but just overall.
Yeah.
His scoring is very efficient, especially on the inside. He's an excellent shot creator, ball handler. And he may not be like the best leader, but I definitely think that just his scoring and his somewhat of his passing ability does definitely keep him up there as in my opinion one of at least like the top 20 point guards of all time. And I just think that he deserves a little bit more credit, and I'm excited for this next season, especially with him and KD being teamed up. Even though Steve Nash reportedly wants to put KD at point guard, well, I don't understand. He just completely fucking forgot that Kyrie was on the team apparently.
Yeah.
But
It's absurd.
that's for me. I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. But
Kyrie's a real life Cosmic Swavey.
Yeah. Hey, Jalil, before you say you're overrated, I'm going to put this out there. In terms of football, Ryan, I want to see if you agree with me. I've heard this take before, and I really like it. Kyrie Irving is to basketball as Antonio Brown is to football. Where he's
Okay.
an incredible player, but he's swell-headed, a bad leader, and he should be a better leader, but everyone judges him purely on the fact that he's a bad leader.
Those arguments, absolutely. But I think what's with the I think Kyrie Irving can still definitely get it done, and Antonio Brown just has a really big problem running his mouth, and Kyrie Irving will, in some cases, I know he doesn't usually put his head down. He's out there for racial injustice, and I support that and everything. He's out there. He said he put his career down. the thing about Kyrie Irving is that I feel like he can still get it done on a night-to-night basis and really still be able to voice his opinion. Antonio Brown, my God, that dude just
Let's say final year on the Steelers, Antonio versus Brooklyn, Kyrie.
Okay,
Would
I
you
can
see him
see
as
that
parallel?
because when Big Ben was throwing him passes, man, that dude was just one of the best. Absolutely one of the best.
But as soon as he took his helmet off and started talking to the media, he's
Yeah.
miserable.
Then he signed with Oakland, and then he booked out of Oakland and went to the Patriots, and it was just a bad look, man. It was just a bad look, and he just I don't see it.
And I mean that shows the parallels with moving from Cleveland to Boston to Brooklyn.
Yeah, having his own team. I mean, he said it himself. Having his own team was a lot more of a responsibility than he thought it would be. So, and Brandon.
Hold on, Jalil's got his overrated.
Oh, my fault. No.
Oh, shit, man, I do think James Harden is very overrated. Like that nigga shoots the ball. Like I ain't even from the front, man. That dude, like,
Well, there goes any
fucking-
chances of sponsorship.
nah, fun. He over.
No, all the smoke, man. All the smoke.
Bet.
Especially like when he was just like when he was kind of like the main scorer for fucking like Houston before Russ came over. Like even then, I thought it was very overrated. Like he is a great shooter, but like the bullshit that he gets, it's ridiculous. And I even get surprised when I play with him in 2K how much bullshit that he gets in that game too.
That's as usual.
It's fucking crazy, man. Like,
yeah, man.
like
None
he
other.
shoots so fucking much, and it's just like he is completely unfazed by it, which is such a huge problem, and which is why I don't think like it's why they don't perform well in the fucking playoffs because they cycle the ball, especially through him and I think Russ right now. It's just fucking crazy. They just need to fucking get the ball out of them motherfucking hands, and they just need to just. He needs to pass. Coming from a man
The damn ball to Robert Covington.
Coming from
Hold
a
on.
guy who literally doesn't pass in 2K, this dude needs to pass. Like,
Hold on. Logan, you had an objection to that. I could tell. Go ahead, my friend.
If you're saying James Harden is overrated due to the fact that he shoots too much and doesn't pass, does that make you overrated in 2K?
Yes, man, in 2K, bro. He's trash, bro.
Oh my God.
I still make I shoot
Yo,
at least 50 to 60%. This man will shoot
I watched you shoot 3 for 14 with Steph Curry and have 2 assists. Don't talk.
Yeah, well, that's 2K21. This game is fucking ass.
One game,
Like,
one game.
It is pretty
actually,
bad.
2K20, bro.
Now we can discuss that next episode for sure. We can discuss how ass 2K21 is.
Okay.
We can
Or
talk
how
about
ass
that.
For me,
I was
next
a
week.
consistent at least 60% shooter. This game, I don't know.
All right, Brandon.
Yeah.
Yours. I want you to say you're underrated. Then I want you to pause, and I will preface you're overrated.
Because we all know who it is.
All right, boys. So everybody in this call knows because I'm very passionate about it.
Say
But,
no. Say under, please. Don't
I
say.
know.
Okay.
I'm just explaining. I'm explaining to the viewers,
Mhm.
So, all right. So underrated, I'd probably have to go with Chris Middleton. I don't think that he gets.
Nice.
I mean, that's an interesting one because people believe that he's like really bad, and honestly,
Eric Bledsoe.
Eric Bledsoe
He's
is
ass.
terrible.
I love
He's played terrible. Anyways, with Chris Middleton, I don't know if he could be a number one option ever, but the fact that he's so good as a second option for them, like catch and shoot, defending, he's always there.
I mean, that could be
Maybe not so much this season, but that was kind of the same deal with CJ McCollum this season. He was very inconsistent until the bubble, and that's when he really decided to turn it on. And the fact that Chris Middleton, without Giannis, won that game against the Heat, in the second round. I mean, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. He's a great scorer, and he's a great defender. He's great 3-and-D. He's one of the best.
The Heat's only loss of the playoffs so far.
The Heat's only loss came at the hands of Chris Middleton.
And I
which
mean,
is
that's,
kind of
I agree
crazy
with
to
you
think
for that
about.
reason.
What'd you say?
I agree with you for that reason. Like for that reason alone, I'm with you on your choice.
Yeah. And Jaylen Brown from the Celtics, man, he's making a case.
I agree.
Right now. Everybody thinks of Jason Tatum, and obviously they should, but Jaylen Brown, man, he's so athletic. He's not great defensively quite yet, but he's not bad by any means. He's improved on his shooting tremendously since he came into the league, and he's gonna be a star someday, and he's really working towards that. and it's really cool to watch because he plays hard. He plays really hard. He's starting to learn the game more through Kemba. I feel like Kemba's the perfect leader for the Celtics, by the way, with how their roster's shaped up.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect. And I'm really, really excited about what Jaylen Brown's going to be doing the next couple of years, because I think he's really got it. He's really, really got it.
Okay, so
Okay.
Real quick, if there ever is an audience listening to this, I want them to understand that this is the debate that we have maybe daily. It's a source of great hatred in our group, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brandon, I love you as
Hell
a
yeah.
friend, but I fucking hate you for this.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I'm gonna go grab some popcorn because this is gonna be fun to watch you and Michael go at it. Who's the most overrated player in the league, Brandon?
So
Joel Embiid.
I believe for probably 2 to 3 years now that Joel Embiid is the most overrated center in the league.
No. We gotta hear him out. This is
I said center.
entertainment.
You said player.
I can say player too. I'll say player too.
All right.
All right, everybody mute themselves because we gotta hear him out. We gotta hear him out.
Switch the gallery view so we can all see this happen.
All right. So basically, I'm gonna break it down right quick. Can we hear everything? Everything good? Okay. All right. So basically, the thing with Joel Embiid is that he's come in, the process, everything like that, that bullshit. He's led the Sixers to decent records, but he's never led them to great playoff records. And granted, he's only 5 years in the league, right, Michael? 5 years? 4 years? Okay. Well, you know what? And everybody, I need my chair. Sorry, this is very uncomfortable. Everybody is just, thinking that, he's the best because he talks all the time, because he draws he's literally just half of his offensive game is him just all the time. He flops on at least half of his points. Ryan's walking away, of course. But I'm just saying, like, I really don't think I really don't think he's all that. I don't think you can build a winning team around Joel Embiid. I don't think he's a good first option for the Sixers, which is why they've flopped. Though I do have to give him credit. He did play extremely well against the Celtics, right? Yeah, it was against the Celtics. Celtics obviously have a very good team, and the Sixers underplayed big time. But Joel Embiid played very well in that series. However, I do believe that I would say Karl Anthony Towns is better. I would say Nikola Jokic is 100 times better. I would say Anthony Davis is miles ahead of Joel Embiid. And Joel Embiid will never, ever get in the same category as Karl Anthony Towns in 3 years. And I think, I really, really believe that if you gave another decently talented center in the league the opportunity that Joel Embiid has had with the Sixers, they would perform better, because Brett Brown has given him an opportunity to really work. That's a lot of hats, Logan. Brett Brown has given him a lot of opportunities to work his game, to ISO in the post, and he's a very good low post scorer sometimes, but half of the time he's just flopping, and it's just I can't with y'all, man. Nah, man, it's just like half the time his shooting is inconsistent. His low post game is inconsistent. He whines all the time about calls. He doesn't help the Sixers team at all. He brings them down morally. He's extremely selfish, and I don't see why people consider him a star in the league. And I think he's a pretty good defender. I'll give you that. He's a decent defender. He averaged a couple blocks. He's not, I wouldn't say, he's as quick as, a Bam Adebayo, but he's very strong. He's built, and that's good. And that's the only thing about his game, besides his low post offense, that really, truly impresses me. And it's like above average. I think he is one of the most overrated players of all time. I'm done. I rest my case.
I'm gonna be honest with you. My neck hurts a little bit.
Oh my God.
We're gonna count the caps, okay?
Please do.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
I'm gonna call you Cap with your own team, motherfucker.
8.
I ain't got time for your shit.
Who's captain? Now,
I
I agree with
wants
I
to
agree
make
with some of your
argument.
claims.
This is Michael's argument. Because Michael, you're a Sixers fan. You're a Joel Embiid fan as well. Would you like to take this?
All right,
What?
I'm muting for this too.
Do you want to take this argument, or should me or Ryan?
I don't care. We all bring up the same points most of the time anyway.
All right. Well, then, as a Sixers fan, I believe you have the floor.
God, I don't even know where to start. That was a lot, B.
I had to give my case, bro. I had to give my case. I
Put this out there. Do you think that Joel Embiid is you said what was it, significantly worse than Cat? Was that what it was?
No, I didn't say he's significantly worse, but
it's
I think
noticeable.
that Karl Anthony Towns is a much better player overall than Joel Embiid. And I think that in 2 to 3 years, when the Timberwolves have a better team assembled, then Karl Anthony Towns will really flourish under that. See, the Sixers, they have a good team around Joel Embiid, and they haven't been able to do anything with that. That has to fall on Embiid, does it not?
You can't just put it on Embiid, though.
And Tobias Harris and Al Horford are fucking ass, and their coach was retarded, so it can't be on him when his two other stars are playing like shit.
In the way that you can't rely on purely a center to carry a team in this league like you used to be able to. This is the point.
Joel Embiid is the third player since the NBA-ABA merger to average 27 points per game and 13 rebounds per game, and he is not a star in this league.
I knew that stat.
So what? It's regular season.
What?
Karl Anthony Towns has brought his team to the playoffs one time and as an 8 seed and
And
lost
Jimmy
in
Butler
the first
brought
round.
his team to the playoffs.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah. Brandon, what was it you just said? You said it's because it's regular season, correct?
Well, it's regular season, and
Right. No. We'll stop there. By that logic, James Harden's a bad player. James Harden is horrible.
that's not
He
true.
hasn't produced in the playoffs.
Up to this point, correct. But in the playoffs this year, he was good. But you didn't let me finish. Let me restate what I was about to restate.
Hold my beer.
We're talking about Joel Embiid against teams like the Knicks, against teams like the Nets, against teams like, I don't know, a very, very weak defensive team. The Trailblazers, we're talking about
On Whiteside.
Hornets,
Right.
Hassan Whiteside. Okay, there's one center.
Jared Allen's a good defender.
Nurkic.
Jared Allen's a good
Nurkic, yeah. Jared Allen, yeah.
Mitchell Robinson.
Why couldn't they stop the Lakers?
Ooh,
Ooh.
Lakers.
The Trailblazers, if they're so good.
because it's Anthony fucking Davis.
Yeah,
They
we're
need-
agreeing with you in the fact that Anthony Davis is better than Joel Embiid. Yeah, sure. You can't say that he's the most overrated player in the league because he didn't produce in the playoffs.
I said that. To be fair.
But you did, but the same thing is, there's more hype around James Harden than there is around Joel Embiid. To say that, what did you say? Did you agree with us that he's not a top 10 player? Is that what it was, or did you give that to us, or top 10 center?
I mean, I guess he's top 10. He's probably 6 or 7.
Can you name the 6 or
Name 6 centers better than him.
Yes.
Run that fade, yo.
Hands, B.
Run that fade.
All right. Centers. Okay. Bam Adebayo, Rudy Gobert.
No.
No. Just no.
Anthony Davis.
Yes.
Power forward.
He plays center
No,
too.
no, I'll give him that.
No, he doesn't.
So that's
Yeah,
one.
dude,
Our centers.
I'll give him that.
You got
Okay.
one?
Karl Anthony Towns then. Jokic.
Jokic, yes. Jokic.
Jokic is the only center I'd put above Embiid
I'd give him AD in the case of.
I give him AD.
if he played center.
He
He
does.
does. He does
I know. I'm
often.
saying when he plays center.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
So that's 2.
I'm
Cat. Well, let's just say for the sake of the argument, Cat is on par with Joel.
No.
I mean, I know, but we're not going to get him to agree otherwise.
We're not gonna get him with that.
I mean, okay, sure, whatever. If
Okay,
you
keep
want-
going. You got 3 more then.
I have 2 more then. I got 4 right now. Give me a
Who's
second.
number 4?
You're really making me do this right now.
Who's number 4? We got AD.
Yeah, because you have to prepare for stuff like this.
AD, Jokic, Cat, and what else?
Go Bear.
What?
I'm really going into the advanced stats.
You're saying an all NBA third team participant is not actually like
Embiid didn't play enough games to get all
Doesn't
NBA.
matter. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm
He's
saying
better than Gobert.
one of the best centers in the league. That's what I'm saying. You
Joel,
can't
Yeah,
argue
but he's
that.
not better
Joel is
than
one of the best centers in the league as well.
According to who? The NBA?
common sense.
According to his stats,
What did the NBA give him other than All-Star selections?
Look at the
They
stats.
give him a
What is that?
DPOY.
Look at the stats. So you,
Would you like to hear?
You're looking
Advanced.
deeply into the stats with Joel Embiid. I'm telling you, dude, he's not a game changer. If he's a game changer, he's a game changer for the other team because he's helping them win.
Okay.
Just saying.
Can you please tell me how Karl Anthony Towns is a game changer on a team that doesn't make the playoffs? Please tell me how he's a game changer.
Rudy Gobert getting beat by the
Yeah.
Nuggets.
dude, Rudy Gobert is a game changer.
What an offensive game changer Rudy Gobert is.
My God.
Nah, did you see all the
All right.
points that Rudy Gobert been scoring? How he carries Donovan Mitchell, bro.
He has a different role. He doesn't need to score.
How Jokic scorched him on offense, even though he's supposed to be a good defender.
He is
You
a
want to
good-
hear some advanced stats between the 2 players? I think you would like to. You don't have a choice.
Don't
Last
care.
season,
Don't care. Didn't
his
ask.
Karl
Don't-
Anthony Towns' defensive rebound percentage.
Didn't ask.
For you, it's an estimate of the
Don't
percentage of
care.
available defensive rebounds a player grabbed while he was on the floor. So there you have it.
He's still-
33.2% on Embiid, 26% for Karl
the
Anthony
plus
Towns.
minus?
They're both
What's
their
the
starting
winning
center, by the way.
What's
They're both the
the
starting
winning
center.
Ryan?
Versus Stephen A. right now.
What's the winning percentage, Ryan?
The winning percentage?
Yeah, what's the plus minus? Tell me.
The plus. You want to hear? You want to hear their win shares? That's really what you want. You want me to break down their win shares right now?
Yeah, if you want to bring up the stats, why don't you actually bring in the stats that actually matter?
Karl Anthony Towns contributes more win shares to his team because they suck ass, and he's their only good player.
Accurate.
you're gonna forget the damn.
He ain't been on the team
Ryan
for
really looks
half
like
a
the little
season.
background right now, bro.
I don't know what else to say. I really. I mean,
Karl Anthony Towns' blocks plus minus is 7 compared to Embiid's 3.7. But you know why that is? Because Karl Anthony Towns doesn't have Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Al Horford on his team to help him with an offensive load. And you know what? Joel Embiid still puts up 30 and 13 in one of the games in the playoffs because he helps his team make the playoffs while his co-stars, Al Horford and Tobias Harris, both get paid way too much to shoot 30% from the field.
Overrated.
All right, we'll transfer out of this. We're gonna leave that
Let's,
argument.
you know what? This is an argument for another time, I feel. We're getting too far.
it's
We're going down the
definitely
rabbit
gonna
hole.
come up again. I could definitely keep going with this, but everybody else
You
go.
can come back with your research next time instead of just saying Rudy Gobert,
Research.
and we'll try again.
Some research.
All right.
Talking about
Rudy
research.
Gobert.
Logan, take us away, Logan.
Is this it for today?
Goodness
I
gracious.
believe so.
All right, fellas. I want to thank you for joining me today. I've had a great time. Brandon, especially, I have loved hearing you cap for the past 20 minutes.
Don't worry about it. It's not. That's what makes
And
this place
overall,
great.
I'd like
Hey,
to be clear,
ass.
all of us are friends. I've got no ill will towards any of these people except Jalil. Pass the ball more.
Yeah, Julian.
You need to pass. All right, and
I'm
I guess
reading
that concludes the
4. I
first
don't
one.
want to hear it, bro.
Okay. Thank you guys for coming.
We are Sunset Beach, baby.